Welcome back to Bert's Basics. My name's Peter Burt. I'm medical anatomy and physiology teacher here at Boxholder High School, and I'm trying to help you out in any way I can. So I'm hoping these videos are somewhat successful and that you can do pretty good. Now, this one is going to be, without doubt, the hardest video that we will do. This is where you have to memorize the bones. And by memorize the bones, we mean memorize the bones, okay? So this is a monster list. It is huge. I'm going to focus mostly on the head in this presentation, and then we'll just kind of go from there. You guys need to come in my room, and we need to practice, 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 practice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these when you come to my room. I'm going to take this colored skull, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at it this view, and upside down view, which is a lot harder. Remember, that's our last video. Where are we? Oh, right there. Foramen magnum, okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to rip the skull open, and I'm going to show it to you this view. I mean, there's going to be so many different views of the skull. I need you to come in, and then let's kind of tackle this guy, and I'll be like, who's this, who's this, who's this, who's this, who's this? So think of this as kind of an introduction. Let's see how much you know and how much we can learn, okay? So I say we just do one thing at a time and get this party started. So here we go. First thing I want you to do is we'll do this in class probably. I know this is a stupid game, but I'm telling you, it actually does work. I need you guys to play Whack-A-Bone, okay? Whack-A-Bone is a fantastic little game to help you memorize, so get it done. I usually do this as a homework assignment. Get it done. It's good idea to help. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the skull and we're going to divide it into two halves. We have cranial bones and we have facial bones. So cran is a great med term word, okay? Cran means helmet. So if you look, all these guys in color are my helmet for my brain. Okay, so that's the deal of a cranial bone. If you're going to be a cranial bone, you have to touch the brain. And you can see right there, there are 8 cranial bones. That means facial bones are anything on my head that don't touch the brain. So like mandible and maxilla and your cheekbone, which is zygomatic. Okay, those are all facial bones. Cool, but not as cool as cranial bones. So what we're going to do, like I said, in this presentation is I'm going to really focus on the cranial bones. So let's go ahead and do one at a time. So here's your frontal bone. Okay, front means forehead in med terms. So you can see this is your frontal bone. It's monstrous. Now parietal bone, you got to be careful. There's 2 of them. So if you actually look, here's parietal bone 1, here's parietal bone 2. And in between, squiggly, 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 we have a suture. And that is called the sagittal suture because it's not always directly down the midline. So remember, some of these are hard because when you're trying to get to the number 8, that's what these number 2 represent. Some of them are paired. Okay. Next one we got is the almighty temporal bone. Okay, temporal bone is on the side here, and we're going to learn some parts on here like mastoid process in class and styloid process in class. And we've already learned this guy when we did our words. That's my meatus. That's called my external acoustical meatus, sometimes called external auditory meatus. Okay, my occipital on the back of my head. Okay, this is my occipital. He's a huge bone, and this is why this drives me insane. If people study this, they'll be like, oh, occipital, he's this little green one on the back. No, he's not. He is freaking monstrous, okay? And he has this gigantic hole. And we already learned that word too. That's a, foramen, right? That's a foramen magnum, okay? The only 2 that you guys are going to have a problem with that's on list are the cousins. Okay, there's 2 cousins that are called sphenoid and ethmoid, and they're hard to see. So if we look, this is your sphenoid right here. So let's just recap. Frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. Okay, I think you guys got those ones pretty good. This is my sphenoid, but don't be fooled. If you only say, oh, sphenoid's this little bone on the corner. Oh, no, he's not. If you open the skull up, so let me get to my big guy right here. Boop, okay. Sphenoid's this one in, what color is he? Puke green. See this one in puke green right here? But if I take him off, he is huge. He's all this undercarriage of the skull right here. So he's a monster bone. And more importantly than just being a monster bone, check this out. He also forms the back of your eyes. That's all your sphenoid bones. So once again, come in. Let's play around with your sphenoid. Make sure we know him very well. The next cousin you're missing is the ethmoid. So we got this is frontal. Okay, this is my parietal. This is my temporal. This is my sphenoid. Okay, I can't really see occipital. He'd be down here in the bottom. Check out this little guy. Okay, that is my ethmoid bone right there. Okay, your ethmoid is hard to see. Now, he is a cranial bone, which you know the cranial bones have to protect my brain. Okay, so that's a must. So let's figure out why he's a cranial bone. Okay, if we look, this is my ethmoid right here, and this, what are we going to call that? Red-orange color. Ethmoid, ethmoid, ethmoid. Oh my goodness, ethmoid, And ethmoid, is he a huge bone or what? He's just hidden, but he's still nowhere near the what? The brain. So let's look at one more picture. Ah, that's why he's a cranial bone. This is my frontal, okay? This is my temporal, okay? Parietal's coming out at you, so this kind of pinkish would be my parietal. This is my occipital. I know that because it's got the foramen magnum, okay? The big old hole. This in blue is my sphenoid, okay? He's the undercarriage. Do you see this little turquoise bone right here? That's the only place where the ethmoid touches the brain. So since he touches the brain by default, that makes him an almighty cranial bone. So can we go back to this list really quick so you guys don't panic too much? How do you feel about your guys now? You have ethmoid, sphenoid, frontal, parietal, temporal, occipital. Those are my cranials. So now let's roll on facials, okay? Facials, I'm not going to give you that much of a deal here. So if we look at my facial bones, these are the facial bones. Nasal bones, these ones on the brink of your nose here that most people break. Lacrimal is where your tear ducts drain into your nose. So when you cry, the tears go draining right into here, which is why you have a runny nose when you cry. Okay, zygomatics are your cheekbones. Okay, maxilla, big mustache bone, bottom of your eye, side of your nose. Mandible, the only movable bone in your face. Inside the nose is where we get a little bit more tricky. So you're missing the vomer, which is the bottom part of the nasal septum with the ethmoid being on top. Okay, we have these hooks in our nose called concha, and you have your inferior nasal concha, which form these two bones right here and here. And believe it or not, you also are missing a bone called the palatine. Oh, there's the palatine right there. You're missing the palatine bone. The palate is the palate bone, which kind of goes in the back of your palate. Now remember, these guys are cool. These are facial bones, which means they give you cute faces, but not necessarily protect your brain. Okay, so those are our bones of our skull. Traveling down from our skull, you can see there's your temporal, there's your mandible, there's your maxilla, there's my zygomatic, okay, there's your nasal, okay. We're going to have to get good at labeling these guys. We care about this one right here in the center. That's my hyoid bone. He's really cool because he's the only one who does not articulate with any other bone. That means he doesn't have a joint with any other bone. He sits here and protects my larynx from collapsing, okay. Vertebrae, I have a completely another video for you. So if you want to learn vertebrae, just watch the vertebrae video. They get their own video. Upper limb. Okay, in this class, you just need to know the basics. You need to know scapula and your clavicle. Okay, you got to know the humerus. Now, in class, I'm going to make a big deal of this, but my favorite word is rad. And if you're going to do rad, you got to give a thumbs up. And so your rad is always on your thumb side. So you have to be like, rad, rad, radius, radius, radius. Okay, radius is always on your thumb side, which means your ulna is then on your pinky side. You have a lot of short bones, has a collection. In humans, there's 8 per wrist. We call them carpals. Carpals is a med-term word for wrist. Meta is beyond or after. So then I get my metacarpals, which is after, followed by phalanges. Okay? If we're traveling further down, we get to my hips. Wow, this picture is horrible. My bad. Well, that's okay. You still will get it. So if you look at my hip is really divided into 3 parts. Okay, I have my pubis, which is adult. Okay, that's med-term word for adult. That's the one in the front. You have these big wings, okay? These big wings are called the ilium, okay? Ilium, this is where they tend to take bone marrow from if you're going to do bone marrow stuff, okay? And then you have the part you sit on. The part you sit on is called the ischium. So these are our guys. We have the ischium, the pubis, and the almighty ilium. Together they make up my pelvis. Sorry that picture was so atrocious. My bad. Okay, lower limbs. Okay, if we're going lower limbs, okay, once again, I know this is very basic, but all we're doing is labeling. Now, we're not doing trochanter or sesamoid or any of those weird things. We're just doing bone labeling. Femur, largest bone in the body. Kneecap, you're a pain in my patella, okay? Tibia, main weight-bearing bone of the lower leg. Fibula, lateral of that. You can break your fib and still walk. It hurts like a mother, but you can still do it. Then, instead of calling these carpals as a collection, they are called tarsals, and we have 7 in each ankle. And then we have beyond the tarsals, so we have some metatarsals and phalanges. Now, I had one student once who said, hey, Bert, are the toes called telanges and the fingers called phalanges? That's super cute, but no, they're all called phalanges. And then your phalanges are broken into different categories like distal, intermediate, and medial, and proximal. We'll deal with that later in class. We should have done that already. But anyway, these are your bones in a nutshell. So if you look at them, take a peek. We just covered all of them in 9 minutes. So once again, the hard ones are sphenoid, which is kind of back of your eyes, forms bottom carriage. Ethmoid, top of your nasal septum. Hyoid doesn't attach to anything. Okay, the rest of these are pretty self-explanatory. Maybe memorizing all the bones that form up your pelvis. Remember, ilium are the wings, ischium you sit on, pubis is the one in the front. Okay, patella is your kneecap. That one's kind of a hard one. And then the rest are pretty self-explanatory. Remember, there's going to be a lot of questions on vertebrae, but you have your own video for that. So there you go. Guys, I hope this helped a little bit, so let's go ahead and just do a quiz. I know this sounds stupid, but I'm telling you, go beat the game, and that's all the quiz you're going to need, and that will help you memorize these so much faster. Thanks for watching Bert's Basics. See you on the flip side.